What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Lifting in Heels podcast. I'm Rachel. I'm here with my co-host Heather, and today we have a special guest, my coach, Neal Cash. He's been a personal trainer since 2007, bodybuilding coach since 2014, and he is a men's physique pro turned pro in 2018 at Junior Nationals. So welcome to the show, Coach. What's going on?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So today we have a couple questions I'd like to start off with from a few of my followers. And then today we're also going to talk about how to be a coachable athlete. I think this is like a huge topic, and it's something very important, I think, for competitors, but then also people who want to compete. So they know exactly like what they need to do on their end, because it's not all about just the coach. You know, you have to be the right athlete for the coach as well.
Absolutely.
So first question, and this is kind of I think this is more of like a taboo question, so it'll be fun.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Start them off like with a good one. Yeah.
Yes, let's get started. Is wellness a fad, or do you think that it will last in the US for a while?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I have a very strong answer to that, actually, because I think wellness will be the most popular female division over the course of the next 3 years. I think it'll surpass bikini.
Good answer. I agree with you.
It's growing rapidly. You know, I'm kind of in, so I kind of see what goes on behind the scenes. It's growing, man. At the Olympia, I know, Heather, you were there. If you saw wellness, the crowd for the wellness, I'd never seen anything like it at Expo.
It was crazy. And like, I just love, from a person that likes to compete but likes to also lift, I think it's a great opportunity for all those girls that just want to lift heavy, but not get super, super bulky.
It's probably the most ideal division for a female ever, especially nowadays. Nowadays, it's all about everybody wants to have a big butt and a tiny waist, right? Well, that's the division for you. So, you know, you got figure competitors. Everybody doesn't really want to go to that extreme level of muscularity. You know, some do, some don't. And bikini, some girls' eyes too small. Well, you got the in between now, and it's awesome.
Yeah, from a guy's perspective, I'm glad, or I can imagine you got all the guys are like loving it. You know. So
it's funny because I'm old school too. So I'm a old school mentality bodybuilder at heart. So I was 100% against it at first. I was like, this is stupid. Bodybuilding with no symmetry, blah, blah, blah. And until I saw it at the Pittsburgh Pro. So when I saw it at the Pittsburgh Pro, JM came up to me and said, I told you so. I'm like, this is awesome. It's phenomenal, man. It is. I love it. It's here to stay, and I think it's going to be arguably, it might surpass bikini as the most popular female division in the future.
For sure. But I think people too, they don't realize like it's not just, you know, you have a big butt and a small waist. Like those girls are big, especially at the national level. I mean, it's not just like, oh, I can't get lean enough for bikini, so I'm going to do wellness. Like that's
my biggest pet peeve is people thinking that, I've heard people say like, well, you know, I can't get down for bikini, so I'm just gonna do wellness. Well, that's not muscle. That's just you need to lose more body fat. Those girls are jacked. Yeah. Their legs are bigger than some men's bodybuilders.
Yeah, they're definitely.
You know what I mean? I got my wellness girls hack squat 5 plates. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
It's like I'm not being sarcastic or whatever. Like my wellness girls hack. My wellness girls can hack squat 5 plates. So you know what I mean? Like for reps, they're the real. I love it because the training that it takes and just the look, it's phenomenal.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm always blown away from like seeing the butts on those girls. It's just like, you just want to squeeze them. Like they're just so high. It's just like, yeah.
It's my favorite division.
I can tell you're so excited talking about it.
I love wellness. I love training people for it too, man, because it's just fun because there's no restrictions. You don't really have to hold off on the lower body training. You can just go all in. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to worry about getting their legs coming up too much when you're trying to bring their glutes up. None of that. It's like get big, down low as possible. You know what I mean? Like, so.
No, I just hope that, because like with every division that they've always introduced, it like slowly gets crazier and crazier. And I'm hoping though that they kind of just keep it where it's at. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to start getting crazier and crazier with that.
So they'll have to just keep the conditioning aspect of it in check, because like, you're right, in every division it gets extreme. Men's physique, look at men's physique, for example, when it came.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
Yeah, like it's
wild.
Men's physique went from being like some dudes on the beach to we're full-fledged bodybuilders now. I'm 270 pounds.
They are. Like, there's no more like, you know, you could like kind of if you're a bodybuilder, you could kind of tease a physique guy back in the day, you know, like, oh, you're just like Mr. Beachbody. Now it's like, no, you're the same person. You know what I mean? Like, it's no longer that. And it didn't take very long for them to get that way either.
No, bikini
like
too.
2 years.
I mean, bikini too. You know, bikini is the same thing. It got. I think they've done a good job of kind of finding that niche with bikini over the course of the last couple of years now, though. But wellness, I think as long as they keep the conditioning not quite as, don't let it go too extreme, it'll be fine.
Yeah, same. Yeah. And don't let the butts are good and the size of the legs are good as they are. I just hope that doesn't get like literally like
the upper body,
on the top. Yeah, like.
Yeah, but it could get out of control. But hopefully they keep it under control. So.
Yeah, that's a good question, Rachel.
I know, I liked that one. That was like a good way to start off. So the second question that I have is, are you a fan of hypertrophy training, top sets, back off sets, etc.?
If you're a bodybuilder, 100%. 100%. That's how you need to be training. I mean, like, so that's pretty much everything of bodybuilding is hypertrophy. If you're not training that way, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, like, so people forget all the time, like, we're training to improve our physiques. We're not training. Strength and things like that will come. And like I said, one of the biggest things with check-ins is seeing, like, are you setting new PRs, stuff like that, you know, progressive overload, etc. But at the end of the day, we're training to look a certain way. You're training for a certain look. You're not training to set PRs, to be honest. You're training to maximize your physique, to maximize enhancing your physique. So hypertrophy training is everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I think is like the biggest, like, I don't want to say like misconception, but the hardest thing for like athletes in other sports to grasp is that like when they, like, let's say like a football player comes over into, you know, bodybuilding world, they're so used to like performance goals. And it's like, no one cares if you bench 50 pounds or if you bench 500 pounds. If your chest looks a certain way, you're good. Like, leave it alone. And they just, it's hard to like kind of shift that over to where it's like, it is purely aesthetics. You don't even have to be able to run a mile if you go on stage. Nobody cares. You just have to look that way. You know what I mean?
Well, most of us ain't running no mile.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I'm not like I can walk. Yeah, exactly.
That's so
like,
funny.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is
walk across the stage. That's it.
I can't tell you how many people I've had ask me like, oh, how many miles a day do you run? And I'm like, 0. Yeah, unless you like make sure you got an ambulance down like half a mile.
Dude, I'm not running to the bathroom, let alone I ain't running I don't run.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Former athlete too, but I ain't running now. I ain't running nowhere. Yeah.
No, for sure.
But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think it's the best form of training for bodybuilding, hands down. Drop sets, top sets, pyramid style training, supersets, anything, playing different angles, high volume, low volume, switching it up, everything. It's all about what works best to enhance your physique when it comes to bodybuilding, period.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So getting into today's topic then, I feel like this can kind of trickle over into that, how to be a coachable athlete. I feel like a lot of times when athletes go to a new coach or they just start with a coach in general, they already have like this idea of, you know, what works for them or what they have seen other people do. And they're like, oh, I have to do that to look like this person. And I feel like there's a lot of pushback sometimes on it. And granted, like you should kind of have conversations with your coach of like, hey, I think it's this. What's your opinion? And then that coach should be able to give you reasons as to why you're doing what you're doing. Because there's also that other side of it where a coach just says, this is what you're doing. I don't want any questions as to why, I just execute. And like, absolutely, as an athlete, you should execute the plan, no questions asked, if you want those results. However, in return, you should also know why you're doing what you're doing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What's your thought on that, Cash?
I agree. I think it's a two-way street. So, yeah, of course, every coach always talks about we want our athletes to be coachable. However, you need to actually coach. So, like, what I mean by that is, like, don't just, like, it's really easy to just tell somebody to do something and have them do it. However, a good coach is going to tell somebody to do something and tell them why I'm making them do that. You know what I mean? Like explaining it. This is why you're teaching. So now you can't teach. You don't have time to teach everybody every little thing, right? Yeah. However, it giving somebody an example or explaining something every now and then to somebody can go a long way with them trusting you and becoming a more coachable athlete as well. Because then you develop that trust with them. They know, okay, this dude knows what he's talking about, and he's got my best interest at heart. And then you'll find that they'll want to be more coachable, if that makes sense. I've never really had a lot of pushback because I'm kind of a hard ass, you know what I mean? Like, so like, I'm kind of known for that, but only time I get that is with newer athlete people that have never done it before. They're going to ask a lot of questions, which is fine. I want them to. I'd rather them ask a lot of questions and learn instead of just not doing something, you know what I mean? Like, or doing something wrong. Usually veterans, if I get veterans that come to me or whatever, they're usually pretty coachable, to be honest. They know I don't really care what your other coach did. I'm gonna discuss with you anyway what you think works best for you, how your body responds to this, that, and the other. But when it comes to just if somebody just comes throwing like, well, this coach did this, we're gonna have a problem though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why are you with me then? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But
that is the worst. The worst.
I can honestly say I've never had that though. I don't know how I'll respond to that.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, even like on our like coaching inquiry call, like I've told you like the things that I've done, like who's had me do what, and you just straight up either said that's great or that's stupid as hell. Trash. What are you doing?
Yeah. So I do pride myself in being really good at what I do, and I think I'm one of the best in the world, but I don't think I'm the best in the world. So I think I'm always trying to learn. I'm always taking what if somebody like there's a veteran athlete and they know they've competed before, they know their body, they know what they've done before. So yeah, I want to know exactly what you did before. I want to know exactly what works for you, what didn't work for you. Are some things going to change with me? Absolutely. But we're not going to reinvent the wheel here. If this works and you know it works for you, whatever, you're comfortable with this is what we're going to roll with. You know what I mean? So.
So like
100%.
What would you say makes someone coachable and what makes someone not coachable or I guess a bad athlete? Because I think I've definitely heard of coaches like firing their clients for like some crazy shit.
Oh, I fired a million people, believe it or not. I fired so many people, man. It's like I just don't have time for it, man. Like, so it's like I think a coachable athlete is someone. I don't expect somebody to be perfect all the time, to be honest. Like I understand life happens and things like that. I'm actually pretty understanding, but I'm not soft either. So a coachable athlete is somebody that is actually trying and they're giving 100% adherence to the program or whatever, whenever as much as they can. I think I made a post the other day saying I'll never be the guy that only takes somebody that looks like they have potential or something like that. I don't care about that. I don't care. You can look like absolute trash if I'm being honest. If you have the right mindset, you mentality, you truly want this and you want to do whatever it takes to get it, then 100% I'm gonna roll with you or whatever, and we'll find that potential. So it's not always about how somebody looks and their potential that you see. It's more the mindset. If somebody has a strong mindset, then they can probably become really coachable. Honestly, if somebody is like more weak-minded, at the end of the day, bodybuilding is still a sport. So you know what I mean? Like if somebody's a little bit on the weaker-minded side, man, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be kind of hard for somebody like me to coach them anyway, because odds are they're probably going to have a bad relationship with food or bad relationship with themselves, like physically and stuff like that, everything. And I'm probably not that guy or whatever. There are coaches out there that are 100% good for that, but like that would be like not coachable for me. Not coachable in general. It's people that just like don't listen. To be honest, I don't know. It's a hard question.
You don't want to have to hold someo's hand, basically, like, through the process.
Right there.
And that's
I won't do it. I won't hold your hand.
No.
Now, is there something though that you can? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rachel. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, go ahead, Heather.
I was gonna say, is there something like when you do like your screening call, like your first call with them? Is there something that you like look for to see if they're uncoachable or if they're going to be coachable, or is it one of those like you really don't find out until like you're a couple calls, in working a couple weeks with them?
So sometimes you can figure it out, and sometimes you can't. Like so. One of the I don't ask a lot of questions. I do a lot of listening more so. I just let them do a lot of talking. I don't do a lot of talking, believe it or not. They're calling me to interview me for me to become the coach, but I'm letting them do most of the talking, believe it or not, and I'm just listening. But I ask very few questions. One of the questions I ask is like, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish at this? What are you trying to? What are your goals? Or whatever. First thing everybody always says is, I want to go pro. You know what I mean? Like. That's cool. But what are your short-term goals? And you can usually tell how like driven or how focused someone truly is from what their short-term goals are. If someone's short-term goals is, well, I just want to win the show and I want to do that. No, your short-term goal needs to be, I want to improve my physique. Like it's just the mindset of. Everybody always just wants to think of that's still not short-term goals. I want to win. Now you still got that's a long prep away from being able to win. What is your most recent short-term goals? And someone usually, if they can see things in more of a short term instead of everything just the big picture long term, then they're usually not going to be the person that falls off the wagon or cheats and stuff like that because they're looking the little steps it's going to take to get there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that's a huge thing. That's like really important for athletes to realize that, you can have like these long-term goals of going pro or going on the Olympia stage or just winning a show in general. And that's great to have, but you also have to like have in the back of your mind every single day, like, okay, I need to check off this box, this box, this box. My training needs to be on point. My diet needs to be on point. My cardio needs to be on point. And if I can do those things in the short term, the long-term goals will come.
Because
I agree.
Because I'll tell you what, when it's this time right now, when it's off season and goal and shows are far away and things like that, it's not easy. It's really easy to go to the gym every day when you're 6 weeks out. You know what I mean? Like it's really easy. It's really easy to eat your meals and go to the gym every day when you're 4, 6 weeks, 8 weeks out, and that clock is ticking. When that clock is ticking, that's when it's hard. So that's why I want to see what your goals are now. We're nowhere near the stage. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish right now? Well, I'm trying to improve in my hip thrust. I really want to bring up my glutes. I want to bring up my shoulders, something like that. I want to make sure I get to the gym this many days a week, whatever it takes. But like short-term goals, if somebody has like set short-term goals, it goes a long way with like how, if they're going to fall off or be a good client or not, to be honest.
Well, and I think it's good to have like a focus on, like, it's great to just want to win a show, but like, how are you going to win the show? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to bring are you weak in your glutes and you're going to bring them up, or like, are your glutes fine and you shouldn't even, I don't want to say you don't touch them, but like, don't try to improve them, but your shoulders suck. So like, that's what you want to do. It kind of gives more direction to how this prep is going to go, and, or, your off season or whatever. And so many people just focus on like, I want to win the show. So it's like, I agree. 100% I agree with short-term goals make a huge difference.
But a lot of people don't realize the work either.
Yeah, right. Why are you doing it? Like, duh, you want to win.
What'd you say, Rachel?
Oh, I just said a lot of people don't like realize the work that you have to put in the off season. Like, I'm for sure guilty of that in my past. Like, I mean, we've had plenty of conversations where, I kind of took my off seasons as like time to enjoy life and not, really prepare for the upcoming season. But this is the best off season that I've had ever. And I kind of just didn't stray far away from how I live my life in prep. I mean, granted, I get to have a lot more food, and definitely a lot more fun meals, but I've kept the lifestyle in, and I think that's what's made the biggest difference. And I think that's what makes a difference between like a true athlete and then someone who just like wants to do it for fun, once a year.
Mm-hmm.
You just nailed it. There's nothing wrong with someone that wants to do it for fun or bucket list, or they just want to compete here and there and stuff like that. But when people come to me, that ain't what they want. I mean, being honest, like they want to go pro, or I want to win this overall. I want to go pro. I want to get to Olympia because I get pros come to me as well. I want to go to Olympia. Well, yeah, like you just said, off season. There's not really an off season. It's an improvement season. I mean, this is the time when you have to make the improvements necessary. You didn't win. So you didn't win before. The reason you didn't win because you needed to get better. So this is the time when you have to get better. So you can't just go, oh, now I'm just gonna go kick it and do whatever and not eat my meals, eat some junk, get fluffy. This needs to be just as controlled. It's just a lot more, like you said, there's a lot more good food to eat and a lot less cardio. But it's still it's still Groundhog Day, man, day in, day out. So
for sure,
same grind.
Do you think you have like I shouldn't say a bigger problem, but like, do you think women are harder to keep on track in off season or men?
Women are way better clients. Women are made way better clients than men.
Really?
I've been known to say that. I've been saying that for years. So women are so much tougher than guys.
that I'll agree with you on.
Women are so. I mean, I'm not saying that. I say this all the time, literally. So, I mean, obviously, I work with primarily women. I'm probably 80% women, 20% guys, right, from a clientele perspective. And I ain't gonna say like all guys like that because I got some guys that are really good, man. You know what I mean? Like, so that are really committed and they work, but usually, man, guys are knuckleheads, and women, if you paint that picture for a woman and you set the goals and you have her motivated enough, and she's gonna motivate herself obviously too, but everything is set, and so you're ready to accomplish a certain goal or something. They're usually, man, you guys are usually pretty like robot. You know what I mean? Like once you guys get in your groove, you guys are robots, and there's going to be a little emotion here and there. But other than that, man, it's just straight work. Being honest, like guys, they're knuckleheads. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, like, oh man, I didn't do this. There's always an excuse, man. And once again, I'm not talking all guys. I have some guys that are really good, but they're not nearly as tough as women. They're not nearly as tough as women at all.
So what's like the line for you? Like, do you have something like in your head where you're like, okay, they messed up here, but it's okay. But, once you've had enough, you've had enough.
So there's a few things that'll cross the line. I'd say so the first mess up is usually, okay, life happens. You know what I mean? I get it. Get back on track. There's no reason to ream somebody for making a mistake, right? So if it becomes repetitive, they do it again. I'm like, all right, man. Like, so I'm not quite as nice. So I'm like, all right, man. Like, so remember, you told me your goals are this. You run back their goals. So you kind of remind them, like, this is why you're doing this, right? So, like, yeah, I know I'm going to get it together. If they just continue to do it, I'm just going to be honest, like, you're wasting my time. So, like, and I'll tell somebody right now, you're wasting my time. So, like, if it's a repeated offender of just not doing the work, that's probably the line with me. I'm not going to waste time with people that don't truly want it, because I got people that are so hungry for success. They want. I got so many people this year chasing pro cards, and people chasing Olympia qualifications, and people chasing overall that, like, I want to put so much effort into them, man, because I'm the loudest person out there. I'm sweating more than they are. I'm your biggest fan. So, like, I'm putting my all into it. If you're not willing to do it either, man, I'm not wasting my time with you. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's probably my thing. When people just like keep falling off, it's just repetitive, like, inconsistency is probably my biggest pet peeve. I hate it.
Well, and I think if they're constantly doing that, like you said, like they really just don't want it. I think they like maybe told themselves that that's something that they want, but then like when push comes to shove, it's like, not really. It just sounds good in their head.
Hey,
so
it's a nice shiny trinket at the end of the rainbow, but
exactly,
you got to walk that long road to get there,
Mm-hmm. And you're almost doing them a favor by being like, listen, stop lying to yourself. You really don't want this,
I'll tell somebody straight up. I don't, like, one thing about me, I don't care about hurting feelings. I don't care about comparing people. I'll compare you to somebody in a heartbeat. I know that people hate that. Yeah. I don't care. I'll compare you. I'm like, well, hey, you told me you want to be, well, guess what? She never misses a meal. She does. I'll say it in a heartbeat. Get under your skin. I don't care. What are you gonna do? Get mad?
Yeah, they're not gonna fire you at that point.
Yeah, I don't care about this. I don't care about hurting feelings by any means. I don't at all. I can care less about your feelings. You hired me to do a job. I have 2 jobs. One is to make you win, and the other one is to keep you healthy while we do so. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that's a great strategy to have, or like 2 important things to have as a coach is keeping you healthy and having you do your best. And a lot of coaches out there are only concerned with the one. They want you to do your best, but like kind of the health kind of seems to be.
Yeah, well, honestly, usually you can't do your best if your health markers are all over the place. So
that's so true. Like, I wish more coaches would realize that. Like, you might get something good out of them for like 1 or 2 shows, but like as the years go on, that athlete's just going to deteriorate. It's not. You can maybe.
I've seen it.
2 cycles, yeah, 2 show
I've seen
cycles,
it.
and then you're done.
I've taken them on. I've taken people where it's taken them years to get back to an ideal point, situation or whatever. Like, so, yeah, it's
especially women. Women are the worst. Like, men are, you can beat them up. Yeah, you can beat men up rather, and like kind of they tend to bounce back way easier. Women are so delicate that, I mean, you kind of, if you mess them up, you're looking at least like 2 years sometimes on getting them back on track.
2 years usually minimum to get them to 100%. So a year to get them able to actually be decent again, whatever. But 2 years to get them 100% usually. It depends on what's messed up. You know what I mean? Like when you look at blood work and stuff like that, it depends on where the health markers are and stuff. But a lot of times, man, when somebody's just been like completely destroyed, it takes at least 1 to 2 years to get them back right.
Yeah, it's so sad that can happen. It like breaks my heart every time I see it.
Happens all the time too.
I know.
All the time in this sport, man.
I know. And there's definitely there's repeat offenders big time on some of these coaches where you can just tell, like when you look at an athlete, you're like, you got to be on, maybe 5 of these coaches' teams, like how you look, how your hair is, how everything, like you can just tell they're very unhealthy. And it's sad.
100%. I cringe sometimes.
I know. Yeah. But what are you going to do? Except like educate people,
Some people don't care though, man. They are heartless when it comes to.
I know.
Like they're heartless when it comes to people's health, man. They really don't care. It's some, and others don't know. Honestly, just being honest, they're not educated enough. So.
That is true. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but on some of them.
So that being said, like, what would you suggest for people to look for when they're looking for a coach? I mean, I know I have my list, but the things that you've seen, I mean, so many coaches, some really good, some are not so good at all. What would you like tell someone to look for or ask when they're looking for a coach?
First thing is always check the coach's resume, right? So what have they done? So if you have these big goals, all right, so you want to be a professional, right? So your goal is to be you personally, Rich, you want to be an IFBB pro bad, right? So if you were to hire a coach that's never turned a person professional a day of their life, then the odds are you probably ain't gonna turn pro. I hate to be the bearer of bad news and that guy, the odds are not in your favor if this person's never turned a person pro that you're going to be the first person. You know what I mean? Like, everybody starts somewhere and stuff, but like the odds are not in your favor. You know what I mean? Like, so check the coach's resume, check the track record. Honestly, sometimes you can ask their clients. We have social media now. The clients are only a click away. Ask around or whatever. Get some feedback from them. What they think about this person. and personality. If your personalities don't mesh, it ain't gonna work. That's probably the biggest thing. Like, so if your personality, because some people, if you're like a really needy person or whatever, and you have a coach that doesn't communicate at all, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's probably gonna be a train wreck of a relationship, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, so, like if this coach is a really big communicator and you're like super antisocial, this probably ain't gonna work. It's just a matter of having to find that mesh for which works well with each other. So I would say definitely talk to multiple people. Yeah, like don't just talk to one coach. Oh, this is the one, because you might talk to another one like, oh no, this is the one. You know what I mean? Like, so check their resume, check their track record, reach out to their clients, and make sure the personalities match more than anything, and you guys' goals align, because goals for yourself align. So like, because if you want, your goal is to go pro, and this guy's goal is to just you're just another number, and he's just telling you, oh yeah, but actions speak louder than words. You can tell if a coach's goal is the same as your goals are for you. You know what I mean? Like, he's all in or she is all in for you or not. So
for sure. I think it's like really important that you have that relationship and that initial conversation to kind of like feel out, you know, how the coach is going to be, how your relationship is going to be. Like, if you can't have a normal conversation or like just talk about your goals and like really mesh in that first conversation, it ain't gonna work. And then for me, like, a red flag is someone not wanting to have that initial conversation or that initial phone call with you. That's happened to me before, where I've like wanted, for sure. Yeah. I remember I was like looking for a coach at the time, and there was a coach that I asked, and they were like, oh yeah, it's $150 an hour for a phone call.
What?
I'm like,
who do you think you are?
Yeah. No, I was like, I'm not even like signed on with you, so no.
$150 an hour to talk to them?
Yeah.
Is it Dr. Oz or something?
Yeah.
We'll have to have a little conversation after the episode, and I can fill you in on that one.
I couldn't, I'm not a scumbag. I couldn't do that, man. I couldn't charge somebody to talk to them.
It's just crazy. I mean, I get it. Like, you got to make money, but, you know, be reasonable and have a heart too. Like, if you're actually a coach and you're in this for the athletes and you're in this because you love it and you want to make people pro, like, there should be no question. Like, you want to make that athlete feel comfortable and trust you enough. So
if you're going to be a successful coach, you're not in it for the money. The money will come with success. So if you're a good coach, then guess what? The money's going to come just from your reputation. You know what I mean? Like, so from being successful. If you're getting in it with the mindset of I'm in this to make money, you ain't going to go very far as a coach. I'm just being honest. Like, you're not. You might make a little money here and there and stuff like that, or make money you might make a lot of money for a while. It'll fizzle or whatever, because you're not going to win, because you're in for the wrong reasons. You don't have the person's best interest at heart. You don't love the sport if you're in it for the money. You're literally in it just because you're a piece of shit. Man. I don't like that.
But it's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of good coaches in the industry, but there's also a lot that are kind of just there to, you know, make money, rip you off, and then go on to the next one. And they don't care.
The problem is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and they don't care what repercussions come with that as far as someone's health, someone's well-being. I mean, that's
the problem is nowadays everyone is a coach. So like everybody.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Everybody's a coach. Everybody's a coach.
It's so crazy.
Like, well, my coaches, they're like, do you know my coaches? I'm like, I have no idea who your coach is. None. Zero. I don't know who this person. Sorry. I know all of us normal coaches know each other. I don't know all these like nickel and dime people. There's a couple of them here and there. Like, you got a couple clients in there. Everyone's a coach. You do a show now, then you're qualified to put people on stage and have a team.
It is. It's and they literally, all they do is just take their old coach's diet and like peddle it around to everybody. And it's like, what in the world? One, that's got to be, what is it, like copyright infringement or something? You know, I'm surprised no one's sued somebody on it.
It's something.
But it's wild. And like, I remember, you know, like growing up in this industry, like I remember back in the day, like I wanted to compete when I was in high school, senior year of high school. The only one that my dad was like, because obviously like my dad to me, knew nothing, even though, like I'm not having my dad coach me. And so my dad's like, okay, like I guess I'll pay somebody to give you the exact information I would give you. So Davies was the only one like around, town. And
he was the OG. You know what I mean? He was a back at Davies is one of the, he's like him and Kimoto were the original people with a team. Like there were teams didn't exist, especially for women. You know what I mean? Like so yeah.
And my dad always like talks about how like when we bring up Davies, he's like, I remember like, like everybody knew each other back then, bodybuilding days. And he's like, we thought Davies was crazy going to train women. We're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you going in the lion's den and training women? And they're like, it was probably the best decision he could have made. Like from a career standpoint, I mean, he had a hold on I remember because I worked out at his, it wasn't his gym, but the gym he worked out of. Oh my God, you would walk in there and I wasn't even competing at the time. And there'd be like Olympia people everywhere, every day of the week. And it was like the coolest place to go. I actually lived right down the street at the time from the gym. But now it's crazy to see like how you went from like, certain people that you knew had the education behind them. And then nowadays it's like you roll the dice. If you pick somebody, like if you don't research them, you literally roll the dice that this person literally could have competed last year, done the sport for 1 year, and all of a sudden now is some guru that is going to get you lean. But they're like, really, they'll just starve you and then ruin their body. But it's just
this
crazy.
Is why 100% you got to check the resume. See, you got to see, when I say the resume, you got to see what have they done? Who have they put on stage? What have they done? And don't fall for the shiny trinkets of them talking a good game and spitting out a bunch of large words and things like that. Because I see people all the time, they'll look something up and then they'll just recite it or post it on their page or whatever. Oh, that's cool. Like, you know how to use Google. You know what I mean? Like, you know how to use Google. That's cool. Whatever. Like, do you know how to? So it doesn't impress me when somebody can like explain something with all this huge jargon and large words and stuff. Well, can you break it down to somebody very simplistic? Like, so I want to see you break it down and make it simple for a person instead of that will let me know how smart you really are.
That's such a good point. Now, do you think that there's a minimum of years that someone should be in the sport of bodybuilding before you like trust them to train you? Like, do you think it's minimum 3 years? Like,
I do, but I truly do. But I mean, I know we're never going to get that, never going to get our way with that. But I do because I've been around bodybuilding. Literally, I've been going to bodybuilding shows since 2007. Like I've been sitting at shows since 2007. I didn't start coaching people until 2014. I was a trainer, but I wouldn't dare touch somebody who was talking about doing a bodybuilding show or prep or something. I'm like, whoa, no way. I would send them to somebody that I knew had more experience with that than me because I wasn't at that level yet. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how many years around the sport before I ever even touched, like 7 years, something like that. Like, but I wouldn't do it because I'm like, I ain't there yet. You know what I mean? But nowadays people, they don't care what knowledge or education they have, whatever, or experience. They just see that it's, I can make money if I start. I did this, so I just have people do what I did, and I'll make a whole bunch of money. It don't usually work like that, but
no, because it's not about weight loss. Like I'm not saying you have to have a ton of experience if you're just going into general nutrition. I mean, obviously you want experience, but like you got to start somewhere. But having someone lose weight is very different than putting them through a bodybuilding prep because of all the different health. Correct. Right. And a lot of people don't think that, like, because they'll see who lost 50 pounds, got on stage in a bikini, and now they are watching them from Instagram, and now they trust them that they can get them that way. And that's not how it works whatsoever.
That's true. That's very true.
Especially with like the bikini division. I mean, it's not just about how lean you can get. I mean, there's so many working parts to bikini. It's
levels to this.
Levels to this.
Honest to God, I mean, that's like one of my things that I like love about having you as my coach now is like, you just kind of tell me what to do. Like even with the suit, the hair, the everything, you decide. I don't have to worry about nothing. Like that's
bikini. So people always think the bikini, because it's the less muscle, like dependent, like division or whatever. But it's still, there's still some significant level of muscularity needed for bikini. And it's probably the hardest division to nail the conditioning, because you gotta go, you can't go too hard, you can't go too soft. But I always tell people, extra body fat is never the answer. So you want more glycogen usually, or more water, more glycogen, things like that or whatever, because you still got to get peeled in bikini or whatever, but you got to be a lot fuller. And so if anything, you're spilling over a little bit or whatever. So but your extra body fat is never the answer. So you got to get the fat off first.
No.
Hair, makeup, suit, like where your suit is glued, every little thing, posing, presentation, playing your angles, everything is so vital in bikini. Like, people have no idea. It's so much that goes into it. Bikini's tough. It's the hardest division.
Oh, it is. And like, how many times have you sat in the audience and some girl looked phenomenal and wore a suit that washed her out, and you're like, oh my God, she's not going to win.
Or her tan is trash, or this, or something, or her posing is bad, or any little thing. It's the hardest division. For one, there's no like just. There's so much gray area. I mean, there's so much gray area. Bodybuilding, open bodybuilding, for example, right? Biggest, hardest, nastiest dude, probably gonna win, right? You know what I mean? Like, so bikini, that's not how it works. There's so many different variables in that division. And on top of that, you're competing against way more people. So like, so if you're going at a national level, a bikini show, there's no way there's less than 25 in your class, maybe up to 50. So 25 to 50 girls, you're in an open bodybuilding class, you may be going against 20 guys, you may be going against 8 guys. You may be going against 5 guys, you know what I mean? Like, so, but bikini, you're never getting less than 25 at a national show. Regional level, you're not getting less than 10, you know what I mean? Like, so.
No, well, I remember my mom, my very first show, she was like, I just did the open, like that's what at least I signed up for. And she's like, oh, do novice, Heather. Nobody's going to be like, just, you'll be fine. That'll be an extra class.
Novice is loaded.
45 people in that class. I'm like, I step on stage. I'm like, Mom, I'm thinking to myself on stage, like my mom's out of her mind. And like, my mom thought it was like hilarious. But I'm like, no, you know this. She's like, I figured you'd be fine. Just, sign up. And I'm like, oh my God.
They need to rename novice, man, because it is the toughest class of all. So it's so tough because there's like usually like 1 or 2 novice classes. So all the height classes are literally lumped into that novice class. It's loaded.
It is.
It is loaded.
You take 5 classes and make it 2. And then like, it is. It's crazy.
It is loaded. People think, oh, I'm going to do novice. Oh, okay.
Novice is not, it's not like beginners. Sometimes it's just people that haven't won
it's
yet.
Supposed to be, but it's not.
It's not at all.
I mean,
novice is loaded, man.
Even when I competed,
novice, it's pretty good.
I mean,
yes,
these girls looked insane. Like at the 2 shows that I did this past year, novice was like, it looked like it could have been a national level, and then open was like, well, half of them forgot to diet for the show. I mean, like, I don't not to be mean, but it's like it's a bodybuilding show. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's just wild what ends up showing up in what divisions.
Oh, Rachel, did you do novice?
Yes.
You did.
Or I did novice at North Coast. I didn't do novice at Palmer because I didn't think I was able to, because I had just won the open at North Coast.
Oh, are you allowed? Or you're just,
you are. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I don't think so either.
But yeah, no, I did it at North Coast. And let me tell you, that class, those girls were good. Like, they were good.
Bikini thing.
They were good.
Like novice at North Coast.
First, I was shocked.
Okay.
They moved me. They moved me to the middle, and I'm like, did they just call me to put me here? Because I was shocked. I was shocked.
So you were just a little first place machine, huh? You got first.
He was. You know what? You could tell. Like,
Rachel, what happened to Julie Palmer in the overall?
My teammate. My teammate and I had to go head to head on that. I think Cash, I could see him sweating from the stage on that one. Wait, no. So Heather, I don't think you know this. So when I went to Palmer, it was I was like neck and neck with this girl in the overall, and it was Cash's girl. And like, it was so funny because literally they kept switching us back and forth and back and forth and back. And we had to be compared probably for 10 minutes up there. I mean,
oh my gosh,
it was insane. Like they had us walk back and walk front. And she ended, long story short, she ended up getting it. But I think we were neck and neck. And I was just thinking like, man, like what I wanted to know so bad, like what the feedback was. And I don't think I got the feedback from that show. Now that I think about it.
No, wait, but did she compete at the North Coast?
No.
Oh,
wait,
okay.
did she? Did she, Cash? I don't know.
I don't remember, man.
I don't know. Or you know what? She did, because actually we were hanging out backstage before we even went on stage, and she was telling me. Yeah, she did.
Oh, really?
She did
wellness. Oh, I remember. Never mind. I remember. She did wellness at the North Coast. I remember that. I remember that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, now the joke is it's not losing if you lose against your teammate. So
well, well, she wasn't her teammate yet, but she is now, so it's good. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's so funny. So
it's
funny.
Fine. Everything's fine. Hey, guess what? You won't lose again. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're coming for it all this year.
Yeah, you didn't have me.
That's right.
Oh man.
All right, guys. So I think for today we're gonna call it an episode, but I'm really happy we got to get you on, Cash. This was such a good episode and informative for people for so many reasons. We can't thank you enough for coming on. So I think we're gonna hop off, and then guys, don't forget to tune in for next week. We have a fun one coming up. So we're out of here.
Later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.